And we are live. All right. We are here today with Jan Brzezek from Crypto Finance, the CEO and founder. Super happy to have you here, Jan, today. And dive a little bit into your story, dive a little bit into crypto finance and the industry and maybe the future as well. So, first of all, a warm welcome, Jan.
Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, great pleasure. So
So,
maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself, just a little bit of a background and crypto finance, and then we dive right into the story and some of the questions that I have for you.
perfect. So, let's kick off with a quick introduction. I used to study banking finance. I used to work in banks, and that's probably luck, but I was in trading and then was a business manager for the head of asset management division of a bank. And there I got some side tasks to look at new technologies, and that was blockchain, tokenization, and I honestly haven't had any clue. But then the more I read about it, the more I got excited about it. There was a guy on the trading floor back in the days, very early actually, who was always promoting to trade Bitcoin, to buy Bitcoin. We were always laughing, like, "Yeah, I know, we trade the real stuff here." But in the end, I had to say he was right. He saw it coming. He saw kind of the potential of it, and the more I read about it, the more I got excited about it as well. So back in 2017, then I left the bank and decided to do it myself, which was a quite a big decision because I got the second child, and it was on her first birthday where I then kind of discussed it with my friend and co-founder Tobias Reichmuth that we should do something in that space, and he obviously founded already a company before, so he said, okay, let's do it. And that's why then I did the move. But at that time, it was quite a big decision to do it. And I jumped into the cold water. I had no clue about venture capital and fundraising, nothing. And the learning curve was quite steep. But honestly, that's what I like the most about everything, is always to get thrown into cold water and learn to swim.
Thanks for sharing the introduction, and I'm good. Just gonna dive right into that actually as first. Just curious, like, how is the first year like?
Quite stressful, I have to say, because I resigned and then started officially as unemployed or employed in my company on the 1st of July 2017. And maybe you remember Bitcoin was early 2017, was at $1,000 per Bitcoin. And then it went up after in August, September, October, November, December, up to $20,000 per Bitcoin. And we got overrun by demand from investors, from potential clients, and everyone wanted to get into this space, wanted to learn about it, and want to get exposure in it. And I built within, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, I built a team of 20 plus people, and we had to change our office like 3 times because I never expected we grow that fast in such a short time frame. And then 2018 came. I remember well, 17th of December 2017, when we topped 20,000 or scratched 20,000, then went down again. And everyone was super excited about the space, and there were all these ICOs, and there was just money on the street. And I was as well very bullish about the space, but what goes up that fast normally comes down that fast as well. And then 2018, 2019, 2020 came, and things have changed. It was not that fancy anymore. People became more interested in AI and robotics than in crypto or blockchain. But the team I had brought together, it was quite exciting, and we really use the time as well to build something which really works and is not just you know it, I think you can do a lot in a short time frame, but to be really like scalable and reliable, just needs time. You can do certain things in parallel, but many things you need to do um, in a row, and that is just what maybe some people are too bullish about. They think, oh, that's a superstar. The company was built very fast, but normally you have to sacrifice some things for the growth of the company, or to launch new products all the time. I think it's absolutely crucial to really decide on certain things, certain services you want to focus on, and then do them really good, instead of having everything at too fast or too short time.
So that seems like these are some of the lessons that you learned along the journey. Maybe we can dive a little bit more into that before we move into the other part. Curious about that. So the past 5 years now, more or less, right?
Six,
Um,
almost six.
yeah, almost 6 years. Oh, it's already 2023, kind of, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, over the past 6 years, you mentioned some of the things, but maybe we can go a little bit deeper. If you had to point out one, two, maybe three things that really feel like these are some big things that I learned along that journey, what would you point out? What would you feel like are those lessons?
Good question. There's so many things you have to learn on the run as an entrepreneur, especially as a kind of first-time entrepreneur, or in such a space, because it's not like you launch a pizzeria, or you create a pizzeria, and then you can look at all the other pizzerias out there, and you know exactly what you need to do or need to make better. This space was not there 5 years ago, and the space itself is growing and changing dramatically over the time. And so you have to constantly adapt to new situations. You have to be kind of open-minded, but still not too much. So what I said before with is really, I personally think it's absolutely crucial to have kind of your vision and to stick to it, but not to be over self-confident, because by over self-confidence, I think you can run as well in the wrong direction. So always kind of reassessing your own decisions, and be kind of humble to listen to other people and learn from others. I think that's the most crucial thing. Um, is really really important. There's this word or theory on serendipity. So you have kind of a strategy, but you always are reassessing if that's the right thing, and if you should amend something. I didn't know this word until a few months ago, actually, but this is really, I wasn't aware of that, but that's really important. Um, Further to that, I think it's important to have a vision, and if you want to achieve that, you need to have funding, especially in this space now. When I look back 5 years, I was too Swiss of raising funds just for the next phase. But if the next phase is then in a crypto winter, you have a
Mm,
problem. So you better raise more funds, and being more like Anglo-Saxon, venture invested funds, where you really, or companies where you really like raise 20 million, and then you can deliver on them, instead of being more like a Swiss conservative approach of, okay, yeah, we do one phase of the other, I do another funding round, then a year later. I think the more money you can take, the better. When you get money, you should take it and not be greedy that, yeah, but maybe in a year I could have a higher valuation. And
mm,
the last lesson probably is how important the team is. A lot of people talk about it, but I think it's highly underestimated how important the right people at the right place is. And very often you you have people who are amazing, but maybe they're just not in the right position. Or you have people at the beginning with you who are very good in very, they really like the owner, they take the ownership of everything. They're very um, widely active. But when the company grows,
mm,
is you need different roles, different profiles for those roles. So the bigger the team gets, the more you need specialists. In the beginning, you need generalists. At a later stage, you need specialists. And even though you really like the people and they're doing an amazing job, sometimes it's just a matter of, okay, you perfect for a small team. Now we're a bigger team. Now I need someone else for this position. There's nothing personal, but it's, I think, for a CEO or for a founder, this awareness is absolutely crucial to not take it personal, and not that people take it personal, but really decide completely kind of cold or just neutral. Is this still the right person in this position to support the further growth or journey?
Thanks for sharing. I think these are really, really deep, and also like I love the context that you shared around them. How you got to the lessons. Now let's talk a little bit more about you as a person. If you had to sum up your essence in one word, what word would that be and why?
Maybe curiosity.
Mm.
I'm super curious. I always want to learn. I always want to have a very steep learning curve. I don't go for titles. I don't care for anything else. It's really about broaden my knowledge about everything, better understanding everything. It's super crucial, because I think with that you only get better. We talk a lot about experience, experienced people, experienced employees. For me, an experienced person is not just someone who has done the same job for 10 years. It's about that the person has maybe done something a little bit more left or more right, that he can connect things. So, if you change your role to the opposite, you start to understand the client view much better than being just a sales of a product all the time. If you have developed tools and systems for 10 years, maybe it was better if you would have done that for 5 years, and another 5 years you were on the user side, so that you really get this different perspectives into life. So that's what I think is absolutely crucial if you're if you grow as a person, or as want to have more impact in your life.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks. I want to talk a little bit more about success. Um, in many ways, you had a lot of success over the past years, and I think you have a beautiful story to tell, over the past 6 years and everything that you've accomplished. I'm super curious, right? I'm super curious to hear your own personal definition of success. How would you define success for yourself?
First and foremost, I think success is the result of an effort. Is you really put energy into something. You put time and tears and energy into a project. That can be a sport. If you're very good in sports, you have to train a lot. If you run a business, you put in, you risk something, right? And I think the most successful people are, for me, the ones who have put it in the time and the commitment, and they lived for it. It's not, for me, kind of a manager is not primarily someone who is a successful person. For me, it's more someone who really takes personal risks, or is fully engaged day and night and lives for the business. And in the end, it's about creating something which is staying longer than you will stay, right? Which goes above your, whatever you did, your role. You transformed something, you transformed an industry, you created, as an entrepreneur, you created a business, which, even though you would, when you die, or when you sell the company, there are people have a job, and they are happy, they can identify themselves with it. I think that's success. Then you can be proud. It's not of if you make a million or 10 million or 100 million. It's more about what did you do for the society.
I love that. It goes into the direction of legacy.
Yeah,
Basically leaving a legacy, right? I mean, something that lives beyond you,
yeah,
after you
exactly.
or besides you or whatever. And I love that. It's a beautiful, very condensed way of looking at so many aspects of success and fulfillment and impact and all those parts put into one, basically. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing. I want to
and I,
talk a
I
little bit
think
more about.
I think it's with legacy. There's so many entrepreneurs out there who are super smart and they built something, but maybe at a certain point in time they took the wrong decision and then it goes in the wrong way. Um, Especially in Switzerland, we have kind of a bad association with that. When someone has to leave, I don't want to take any concrete examples, but there are people out there who built something which is still existing and it's great, but they got into a bad kind of public perception, or the people are not respecting him enough for what he did before that. They're just counting him on one thing, which I think is
Mm,
really bad. Um,
mm,
yeah. So
mm. Thanks for sharing. Cool. Wow. So, where do we go next? So, I want to talk about the industry, but before we dive into that, I'm really curious to talk a little bit about digital business, basically. So, first question I have, for you there is like, what's your definition of great customer experience?
having something which is not fancy, but state of the art, something new, something which they haven't had so far, and it just works and it neatly integrates into their application, into their business, into the life, and makes their life easier or better, or
Mm,
they can access new products or new services. I mean, the internet is such a uh, tremendous technology where we were not able to imagine what the underlying technology was able to do 20 years ago. And now we have the whole world based or dependent on the internet. And I see a lot of similarities now with blockchain, tokenization, crypto assets, which is just astonishing. I don't have a glass bowl. I can't see in the future, but I believe personally that if we watch this interview again, or many of the statements which have been done in the past few years about the technology, about blockchain, tokenization, and crypto, um, I think we are underestimating the technology substantially on the long run.
mm, mm. Thanks for sharing. I love to connect between, blockchain technology and the internet. It's something that I fundamentally believe in and I hear very often. And it's for me, it's a very easy connect to make. And maybe it's also not going to work out, right? That that's always a possibility too. But I think it's interesting to make the connect and see like also like the developments of the internet or early or other industries in the beginning, how similar they have been and how immature these things have been in the very beginning, and how easily they've been broken and how they have been um, extracted of value in the wrong way, right? In the beginning, and it's just been a weird space in the beginning, and very often new areas and new spaces are weird and
Mhm.
they mature like everything, like human beings mature and companies mature and industries mature. So yeah, I love that connect to the internet. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a transition, right? Such new technologies cannot be included or built overnight. There's so many different topics which have to be aligned and brought to this level that they're ready to integrate it, to interact with it. Yeah, people need to understand it, and that's just, yeah, like with the internet, it just takes time.
mm, yes, absolutely. So just quickly sticking again with customer experience, a lot of organizations, I feel, struggle with that. It's not that easy to create state-of-the-art customer experience, to create a customer experience that delights, that people actually want to use applications and systems and technology or whatever it may be. What do you believe makes it challenging for organizations to create amazing customer experience? What do you feel like are some of the pitfalls?
I mean, first, it's about technology again, and technology is developing, is moving very fast. So when you built a website 5 years ago, you would not build the website the same way again now, and you probably have to scrap it and build a new one now. That's just a website, right? So for all the different other applications, or for a company who provides its clients products, that can go from the CRM to the stock management to delivery. I mean, nowadays we're used to almost instant delivery or next day delivery. That was not possible a few years ago, right? So I think the whole space, because of the underlying technology, is moving on very fast, and that's a very big challenge. A company like Micro, for example, which is a food company, is the core business is food, but actually it's much more about how can you use technology to become faster, how do you can really earn the advantages of this new technology. And that's a big problem for many companies. I see still so many companies which are not digital. By not being digital, you basically your success will disappear over time, because others will adopt technology and will become digital, and by that they will provide the client a better user journey, a better user experience. It's easier to order stuff than a hairdresser, right? I hate it to call a hairdresser to make an appointment. I want to have an app where I see when is next available appointment or slot, and then I book it directly 24/7. I don't want to wait until tomorrow morning. They open at 9 and then they don't pick up the phone. That really makes me angry. And I would switch probably all of the services just because I want to have a digital interaction with the company. And that's what probably a lot of companies should realize as well. On the board level, from a strategic perspective, yes, they do produce food, or they cut hair, but it's about, from a client perspective, this 24/7, which we got used to. And by the way, banking is the same, right? I don't want to go in a bank to do some banking services. I want to have it online and or an app and just get it done. I want to interact with my relationship manager online. I don't want to call him and have to call him 5 times because he's in a meeting all the time. I want to send him a message and then he should reply to me. That's just state of the art. And I see still so many industries which are lacking this just basic digital adoption, which is just, for me, it's like it's crazy. They're so obvious, they're so low-hanging fruits, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can just look at some other industries or peers how they do it, and you can adopt it as yourself. So I think yeah, being open for digital and adopting these new technologies to improve your business or your products.
Thanks for sharing. I mean, one interesting thing you just mentioned is like the adoption, or I don't know if you said it like that, but the adoption on, board level and strategic level, to actually understand, well, we're not just a food company, or we're not just a company that cuts hair, but essentially, it's almost like saying, our USP is we do good work. It's kind of like, I mean, are you serious? There's, it's not even what's expected. Like, first of all, great work is expected. That's the base minimum, right? And then there's everything on top that is also expected. And, just that, I think that understanding and that awareness and mindset on a level where in the traditional world, which is very hierarchical, where a lot of power sits, right, and a lot of decisions are basically made. So yeah, that's I love what you shared there.
I think it's as well, yeah, probably symptomatic for that board levels are still just kind of occupied by, I don't want to say white old man, but it's the truth, right? You need more the next generation of clients, because the client's generation should be replicated in the board on the board level as well, that they can advise what is important for the clients. And when a private bank tells me, but our clients are 70 or 60 to 80 years old, we don't need an e-banking. It's yeah, okay, but what do you do if they die and then inherit their assets to next generation? They don't want to interact without an e-banking. Yeah, but we will solve it later when it's the time. It's completely ridiculous. And the other thing is, when we talk about a food company or industrial company, it's not that you have your R&D on to build the best brakes or the best machines, but it's not about using technology to improve your brakes or to do your machines. It's about the user journey, right? Where how can a client get faster offers for your tools, for your products on a 24/7 basis, with more specifications possible, in a shorter time frame, with more visualizations, with more where you can tailor make stuff. That's nothing which you cannot do at the moment, because most of the time they have Excel lists where you can choose the different parts and how you want to have it. But it's so annoying that you need to do that in an Excel or even on a physical form, that you could do that this user journey much better with the existing technology. You're still selling the same product. It's just it will be received much better from the clients or the prospects by just using state of the art ways to present it, to sell it, to tailor made it, to customize it.
Yeah, I mean, and just to like close that off, I think what I also find really interesting is in commodity businesses, maybe energy sector or whatever, or even insurance, right? Health insurance or insurance in general, which is like sometimes it's like whatever, right? Product wise, it's like whatever, don't really care as long as it covers the basics. Great. In the past, it was incredibly difficult to get an advantage or an edge on that. And today, with experience, with actual digital experience and customer experience, and being able to create that in a digital way, you have amazing opportunities, right? But that requires a certain mindset and a certain thinking. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Quite
So
funny with insurance, with health insurances, for example. I hate to go to the doctor because I need to wait 15 minutes or so in a waiting room, and I need to get an appointment, and they don't never have time in the early morning or in the late evening. But now they have this telemedicine where you have an app, you can book an appointment at 9 p.m. Someone will video conference you, you can explain what you have, and then they give you a recipe, or they give you advice what you should do. That's so efficient. You can improve the efficiency so much by just having some doctors sitting in a call center, and just getting, like, for the younger ones who don't need to see a doctor. I'm used to technology. I don't want to sit face to face with a doctor and wait an hour to get that. I am more than happy to just use a video conference and quickly explain what I have, and then move on, right? So as you said, something very simple, but for the company, it provides a lot of cost efficiency, cost saving opportunities. On the other side, for the client, it's a much better client service and user journey.
yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, talking a little bit more about that, and going back to your history with crypto finance, I'm just super curious about talking about product market fit, basically. The first you mentioned, like in the beginning, gold rush, crypto rush. Everybody's in. Just give me a product. Just give me whatever you have. I assume, right, because that was a lot
Mm-hmm.
the case with a lot of other companies too. And then winter came, right? And maybe business wasn't that easy or that fast or that rushing anymore. I'm just curious of like, how did you go about product market fit in the beginning, but also like, you know, when things became a bit more like, okay, crypto, nice, but I'm leaving, you know, this is coming back in 2 years maybe. How did you deal with finding and just like maybe refinding your product market fit to truly figure out what is your niche, what is your aspect, or was it all clear from the very beginning?
No, it was not at all, because it's really the space itself is changing dramatically. I mean, there are several different approaches how you could do that or approach that. I think most important, and I elaborated a bit on that already, was really like the focus on do something, do it really good. I don't want to have everything and do a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here, because then you're not good in everything. For me, it was crucial to build the technology ourselves, to at least the core systems, to really do that good and scalable and reliable. Um, it's not helpful for the client when you tell him we can provide you everything, and then you're not good in it. So we provide several services, but there are even more which we don't offer. I think from a company perspective, it was, for me, it was important as well to really like we serve banks, we provide them access to this asset class. We were the first crypto company who got a FINMA license. On the asset management side, we're fully prudentially supervised broker dealer. So it's good to be early and to move on, but I think it's not helpful to just offer everything. And for that, you you build something. You cannot just in financial services anyway, everything needs to be regulated, everything needs to be approved by FINMA. So we cannot just launch a new service and then let's see if it's successful and then further build it out. We need to have all the checks and balances in place beforehand. We need to explain it to FINMA, to the regulator, how to do it, how we do it, and that it works. We sell to financial institutions. We don't sell to someone where it doesn't matter if it's off for 12 hours. We need to be up and running all the time. So we need a very high redundancy and business continuity management system. So that makes it a little bit more, way more difficult than just being a tech company, right? If Le Shop is offline for a few hours, nobody cares. But if you're in financial services, you're a critical infrastructure where your people, your clients are depending on. So you have a little bit less of a flexibility to just try and error to launch new products and services. So that's why for me it was always very crucial to have the services in-house, to build it ourselves, and to have the right people who really understand it, because it's quite easy to buy a car, but by buying a car you don't have necessarily yet the driving license, right? So really understanding what you're selling is absolutely crucial, and not just saying, yeah, we can do everything and then we buy the different parts and mix it together. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. It's really like the focus part is really interesting, and especially in a space like financial services with the regulation, it is a very different um, thing than, you know, as you mentioned, like just, you know, just being a tech company in a sense, or like, you know, being not as regulated as in that space. Talking just like one more thing before we wrap it up, but I'm curious about your perspective on the industry. I mean, I know we don't have crystal balls. I know we don't see the future. I know the past doesn't reflect the future, but I'm still curious about your perspective. I mean, crypto, blockchain technology, tokenization, 5 years from today, what do you see?
5 years. Um, so first, we should differentiate between the two, crypto and blockchain. Blockchain is for me evolution. It's a new technology, but a share was was physically printed on a paper or a bond like here, and then you have dematerialized it, and now it's in a data center, and they store still those papers in a big safe. And in the future, it will be decentralized, but it will still will be equity, a bond, or or something else, FX, fiat money. So that's evolution. And then you have crypto, which in my opinion is more revolutionary technology. It's really truly changing the way how we interact with each other. And smart contracts capabilities on a decentralized blockchain offer so many opportunities to make the system more secure, more reliable, and more accessible. I personally think that probably blockchain and then DeFi, decentralized finance, will have a bigger impact on developing countries or emerging countries than all the funds, the money we send there, and the support by building a water pipe, or by providing them with an electricity generator, by allowing them to participate in the financial industry with simple offerings like a wallet where they don't need to save the money physically in cash in their house. But if you have a small shop, you can convert those assets or the money you get into digital assets, and can be a stable coin, for example. You store it in a wallet shared with your family, and then you can, when you have that cash, you can then as well lend it to someone through a smart contract and get a yield on it. And you can borrow cash to finance something. So you don't have this very old, clumsy financial institutions anymore, which do not serve kind of emerging markets. I think we can solve this issue and bring a better welfare and wealth to these nations, to this population, by blockchain. I mean, we should be realistic, right? We are the lucky, I don't know, 1%. We can walk in a bank, open a bank account, get credit cards and a savings account, a trading account, and everything within. It still takes a few weeks or maybe a few days if it's fast, but most of the people cannot get that in the same way. And maybe similar to the favelas, where we all had lines built in our houses to have a phone, right, many years ago. Nowadays we don't even build the lines anymore because we just use the mobile phone. But they never had any telephones. And then you had the mobile technology and smartphones, where millions of people instantly or almost instantly got access to the internet, to telephones, so they were able to call each other, they were able to watch movies or education. I love open universities where you can listen to the brightest professors in the world. And yes, maybe I can afford to pay for an MBA studio education somewhere. But many of those people, they don't have the financial means to do that, but they can still learn from these lessons and from these speeches. And I think this is really probably the biggest enabler for growth and for wealth and well-being in the world, more than when we send a few billions to these countries, which then get only used by the upper the leaders and not really realizing or ending up with the people.
Thanks for sharing that. It's really interesting. Like, you know, some of these countries, you know, as you mentioned, like skipped the cord phone, right, to the mobile or smartphone, and now they're skipping banks to decentralized finance or traditional financial institutions, where you need quite a few things in order to be able to open a bank account. Well, in the future, why would you do that if you have a wallet, right? And you're connected through the internet and through blockchain technology to the world of finance, actually, in a way that has never been able or never been possible before. And I absolutely love that. That's also one of the reasons I'm very active in that space and do what I do every day. So Jan, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and spending half an hour here with us, or almost 40 minutes now, and sharing your insights and your wisdom and your lessons on that journey. Really appreciate it, Jan. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Danny, for having me.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.